You know, some people enjoy composing their own music, chord by chord, and others are happiest when they come across that one perfect song. Work is not a lot different than that. Whether you prefer building your own workflow or using a pre-made template, with Monday.com, you and the team can work in a way that's comfortable for everyone. Tap the banner to go to Monday.com and build your own amazing workflow, or find an awesome template. No judgment.
Welcome to the RuPaul's Drag Race Recap Show for Season 14, Episode 9, titled Menzes. My name is Joe Betance, and I am joined, as always, by a really, really butch co-host. From the podcast pod is my co-pilot. Please say...
There's an art form to being a very salty barista.
To Taylor, the Latte boy. Hello,
What's up,
Taylor.
brah? Hey, dude. How's it going?
What's up, brah? How you doing?
Yeah. What's up?
Yeah,
What's up?
Good. How are you?
I had to tell my bitch that I had to get out of bed to record this podcast.
Yeah.
Told
man.
her to keep everything nice and wet for me.
Yeah. Tell her to go fucking make you a sandwich.
Yeah.
That's always the thing with straight guys. They want their women to make them sandwiches. Which, by the way,
I want a
isn't the
sandwich
biggest...
and a blowjob later.
Yeah, it's not the biggest culinary feat.
No.
I don't know, though. You fucking made a goddamn hot dog and you were going around like you won the James Beard Award.
It's not that okay. It was just that I've never grilled a hot dog before, and anybody who's listened to Pod as my co-pilot knows that it's not about the hot dog. It's not about the hot dog at the end. It's about the journey of making the hot dog for me.
You would think Taylor got a crown from this Tom Colicchio, even though...
Oh, I'd like to get a crown from this Tom Colicchio.
You love this Tom Colicchio, don't you?
I'd like to get a scepter from the Tom Colicchio, the one in his pants.
Really?
He's so fucking hot.
You think he does that? That's... It's one of the... I just do not see that. I mean, look, to each his own, right? Like I said before, Aiden looks at me... The other day, Aiden was just... I don't remember why he said this. He was just, you're so fucking hot. And I was like... And I was looking at myself in the mirror, like, my shirt was up and I had like crackers I'd been eating, you know? Like, I'd been eating like Doritos and there was like cheat Doritos back on my fingers. And he's like, oh, you're so fucking hot. And I was just like, oh, God. You know?
No, Tom Colicchio can get it. Stocky Italian daddy, blue eyes. Yes, absolutely.
That sounds like almost like a haiku.
It's poetry here at Drag Race Recap.
It is poetry, but you and I just had like an epic run of like Just Between Us Girls.
Old times.
Even though what's funny is the actual Just Between Us Girls was only like 13 minutes. But that was like a super long pre-show, a super long post-show. It was a whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, by the way, if you want this show a couple of days early and without commercials, go over to patreon.com/afterthoughtmedia and sign up at the premium level where you'll enjoy everything you get on this feed early and ad-free. You'll also get access to our Discord server where we have an amazing community of wonderful people talking about all things gay, drag, pop culture, porn, and hating your job. And you get to hear most of these shows we do live and talk to other Afterthought listeners while the show is live. Now, I wrote this out because I want to make sure I get every point. If you're one of those people, you don't want to sign up for Patreon for whatever reason, but you still want to hear Just Between Us Girls, let me tell you, we have an exciting announcement coming for you in a couple of weeks.
Oh.
So you need to stay tuned. A couple of weeks from now, you're going to get an exciting announcement about how you can hear Just Between Us Girls without signing up for Patreon. But until then, go over to patreon.com/afterthoughtmedia. We have a new Lee, isn't it Lee from Tech? What's his name again?
Lee from Texas.
Lee from Texas is new. He's listening live for the first time. Go hit up Lee from Texas. By the way, I was telling Taylor, I can tell. I saw his little thumbnail. Everyone's going to be horny for Lee from Texas.
They're going to be Hornly?
They're going to be horny. Well, you know, one of our, I don't want to say, he doesn't like his name out in the air. He doesn't mind in the Discord, but his name rhymes with and he lives in Texas, and he's already like, I can tell he's gonna see this lead. He's gonna be just face down, ass up.
I'd pay to see that.
Would you really?
Yeah.
Oh, really?
I am fascinated with the idea of people I know having sex.
Me too.
And I would definitely, there are a few people I wouldn't watch, but for the most part, I would definitely watch people I know having sex.
I had this conversation with somebody recently. I don't remember who, where I said, I don't care who I know what it was. I was talking about, look, you're getting nervous. I can see it in your eyes. Let me show you my notes from this episode. These are the fewest notes I've ever had on an episode. Okay.
Okay. Yeah, I was struggling a little bit for this episode.
Yeah, so we're good. But I want to get your thoughts on this. There's somebody I know, straight guy, okay? And this will be part of our drag panel. Okay? This will be part of our drag panel. We're going to have I already have a thing for a drag panel set up, but this will be part of our drag panel, okay?
Okay.
Which is and also you're a therapist, you have expertise in these kinds of conflicts and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. But a few weeks ago, this guy calls me that I know, straight guy, and he's like really upset. He's like, my girlfriend, I think she's gonna break up with me.
Oh no.
Yeah. And I go, he's a youngish guy.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, yeah, we were hanging out, we were just laughing, having a good time, and we were just going through my phone. And I can't remember what they were talking about. He told me, it made sense, but like, she saw that he not currently or at the moment, but had in the past subscribed to OnlyFans. And to her, she was fine with porn, but was not fine with OnlyFans, right? Issue number one. Then it escalated to, it turned out he had subscribed to an OnlyFans of someone they had gone to high school with.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So first I'm like, I don't see what the big deal is, but okay. Now I see what the big deal is. I can see what the big deal is.
Yeah. So he wanted advice. Now, I'm just a cold, heartless bitch. I was like, you should get over it, right? Because my point is, but they worked it out, and they're blah, blah, blah. They're fine, right? FYI, end of story. They worked it out. But the point I'm getting at is in that conversation, I said, I don't care who the person is. If I know them, I'm subscribing to their OnlyFans. Yep. I just want to see what's going on. I don't care if I like. There were numerous people. Hold on for a second. I don't want to say the name on the air, but I have a dry erase board here, so I'll just write it for Taylor to see. There are numerous people. I don't care that I find personally disgusting, right? But if they had an OnlyFans, I would 100% subscribe. And so.
They would definitely get $9.99 out of me for at least a month.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, so like to me, I don't see what the big fucking deal is. You want to see what's going on.
There's a curiosity factor there that absolutely has to be satiated. Yeah, no, I absolutely see that. And you're helping out a friend by giving them a couple of bucks.
Yes, I'm supporting their business. Like if they had an Etsy shop, my friend Melissa, she started a candle Etsy shop. You know how much I spent? Like $150 on her Fakakta candles, right? Mm-hmm. Why not throw a few bones at someone who's beating off?
who's getting a few bones.
yeah, exactly. For their OnlyFans. Yeah, I can't think of anybody. I would literally, anybody I know, apart from someone I'm related to. And even then, that depends how related I am to them.
Right. How many cousins away you actually are.
Like, it's weird because there are some cousins like 100% I would see what's going on, but there are others where like my cousin Richard, I find it difficult to look at his Instagram, Yeah. But yeah, 100% I would subscribe to these OnlyFans. I would want to see what's going on.
Yeah.
How did we get
I don't
on
see
this?
a problem with that.
How did we get on this topic?
We got talking about and Lee.
Oh, that's right.
Wanting to watch them have sex.
That's right. Anyway, this week, the Queen's photobomb famous people in photos for the Maxi Challenge. The girls sit on drag con panels about men. On the runway, the category is shoulder pads. Bosco's named the winner of the challenge, while Georges and Jasmine Kennedy are placed in the bottom two after a lip sync battle for their lives. Both queens are told, Shantae, you stay and live to see another day. Taylor the Latte Boy from Pod is my co-pilot. Name two things liked about the episode and one thing you did not.
I enjoyed this episode. This felt like a very light episode in many ways. I liked the format. I know that we saw them do something similar to this on All-Star 6. Mm-hmm. And I kind of liked that nobody did really bad. I mean, the bottom two were like okay, but I think that's also compared to everybody else. They just kind of fell at the bar or slightly below the bar.
Yeah.
And I liked the fact that nobody resorted to tears. Like it never got to that because as we're going to talk about during the table visits, she was beaten off trying to get them to cry about their dads. Yeah. The other thing that I liked was I enjoyed the lip sync. Mm-hmm. It was a fun lip sync to watch. It wasn't like a super memorable forever, but I enjoyed watching it. Once I realized that they actually were going to be able to dance to this song, I thought, oh, okay, this is fun to watch.
Yeah.
The thing I didn't like, honestly, the table visits, I think was my least favorite part of it because it was like she wasn't even trying to be remotely subtle about the, why do you think that is? Why do you think that makes you sad? It was kind of gross.
I don't think.
What about you?
Subtlety is not a word you would use with the season in any way. I'm gonna get okay. I've said this before, but I'm really running out of things to say about this show. I like that. I'm gonna say it again. I like that the girls all get along. It makes for boring television, but it is in this bleak time nice to see drag queens all being friends. Mm-hmm. Two, I really like this Nicole Byer.
Yes.
She brings me joy.
Mm-hmm.
Thing I didn't like? I'll be honest with you. I thought this episode was super boring. And
okay, I
made a mistake of, now, for people who are, I know people are worried. I watched this episode actually 3 times. The third time was the third time was selections.
Okay.
And I'll tell you why, actually. The first time I made the mistake of watching it like it was a cold, rainy day here.
Mm-hmm.
And so I had it all warm and toasty and I got under the covers. Cause the first time I just watched it for fun. And I got in my bed and I was just cuddled up and warm. And several times Mama was nodding off.
Oh, that's not good.
No. And then I was like, but it'd been a long day, whatever. So then I woke up and I was fine, had some dinner, edited the script and blah, 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 did some work and I was very awake. And this time, the second time I watched it at my desk. So I'm not in a bed. And so I go, well, let me rewatch. So I watched, I was taking notes. And then in the notes segment, when I got to the workroom again, particularly was the workroom and table visits. I found myself very distracted. I would catch myself playing Wordle or something like that, or I don't know, doing something. And I was like, oh, this is not holding my attention.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, so there's a what an editor would call a soft underbelly in the edit. And it's right here in this workroom / table visit part where it was very not interesting. So it wasn't just, I was falling asleep because I was comfortable, but there was nothing holding my attention. And then on a second viewing, so I had to go back a third time and only watch the table visits and the workroom. I had to be I was in fucking Clockwork Orange with my eyes held open, watching this goddamn thing. So yeah, it was a pretty boring episode. All right, Taylor. After Carrie's elimination, Jasmine Kennedy hates that she sent Carrie Colby home. Daya apologizes for being difficult. Deja learns people thought she would be in the bottom. Meanwhile, Deja and Jasmine both feel the pressure to get a win. Taylor, your big thoughts on everything that happened post-elimination of Carrie Colby?
I guess the first thing that comes through to my mind is Jasmine saying that she was bummed that she sent Carrie home, and then she says something like, I feel like I did something wrong. Mm-hmm. That's kind of the point of this, is that you're supposed to, even though you can all be wonderful and friends and walking with children in nature, you're supposed to knock your sisters off the opportunity to win the show.
Yeah.
So I get, because of how much she looked up to Carrie even before this, but there is still something of, somebody always says it in the beginning of it's a competition. We all signed up for this. We knew what we were signing up for.
Do you think, I'm gonna contrast this with another show called Drag Race UK versus the World, where Blue Hydrangea eliminated what she already knew to be the favorite queen to win.
Yes.
Eliminated Pangina Heels. And so her lip was fucking quivering, and the next day, once she figured out everybody was fine with her eliminating Pangina, she started doing the victory dance, right?
Yeah.
But this all revolves around social media. So I'm wondering if what Jasmine Kennedy, because Jasmine Kennedy seems very calculated. Okay. Mm-hmm. By the way, I'm constantly surprised she's only 22.
Yeah. So am I. Which
is funny because she looks young, but she looks older than 22.
Mm-hmm.
What is it? I thought she was 28.
Yes. I figured 26, 27, but
anyway, but it seems like she's trying to mitigate social media backlash from eliminating Carrie Colby. That if she shows that she's sorry and she hated doing that, this was a necessary evil, that maybe it might save her in the social media platforms.
Well, I mean, as we saw on UK versus the World, one of the things that Blue said when they came back into the workroom was, I'm worried I won't have a career after this. Mm-hmm. So I agree with you that probably on some level, Jasmine is thinking, and at this point, she is the only, at the point of this taping, she is the only trans girl on the show. Mm-hmm. As we have seen, that's not necessarily the case, but I'm sure that there's part of her that just thinks, oh my God, I got rid of the trans girl. Mm-hmm. that can't be good for my career. So I would agree with you. And that thought kind of went through my head as well. But ultimately, Carrie signed up for this. Carrie knew there was a chance that she was going to be sent home.
By the way, I know this is all pre-taped. There's nothing she can do, but this fucking Jasmine, she needs to stop fucking crying at everything.
Yes.
Constantly fucking crying.
Ridiculous.
Anyway. That's all I have to say about after the elimination.
I thought that the statement of where Jasmine and Deja said, I don't have a win, I thought that was I said foretelling the lip sync, but that ultimately it was where one went to the bottom and the other was pretty close to the top. And and part of this may be what you said as far as the girls all liking each other. It feels like when the girls are de-dragging now, it's not in previous seasons, it's where they highlight on conflict between two of the girls and then end with one of the girls ripping off duct tape and doing the noise. Yeah. Whereas it seems like now, before they go to the theme music, it's almost always something fun or there is a silly reading to it versus that whole, I don't know who she thinks she is, but I'm going to be the one that's crowned America's Next Drag Superstar.
I think that's just the nature of the way the show is. I think they're just doing what they can with what they work with. I'm sure they would prefer to have a world where it's they're fighting, but.
Well, and I think that's why they're pushing the Daya Jasmine thing as hard as they are.
Yeah. Yes. We'll talk about Daya. We should definitely remind me to talk about Daya. I have a lot to say about that. And also my own, it's going to get a little meta, my own weird feelings on the show, our show, believe it or not, in relation to Daya.
Regarding this first part or something that happens later?
Just Daya in general.
Okay.
Whenever we talk about her, just remind me. Okay. All right. The next day, RuPaul enters the workroom and announces this week's mini challenge. The queens will get into quick drag and photobomb some photos of A-list celebrities. After the shoot, Willow Pill is named the winner of the mini challenge. Next, RuPaul announces this week's maxi challenge. The girls in teams will sit on drag panels talking about men. Each team needs to select the moderator as the winner of the mini challenge. Willow Pill won the privilege to determine the teams. Taylor, let's talk about that mini challenge where the queen's getting a quick drag into photobomb. Did you have any big thoughts on that?
I hate it.
Yeah.
I hated it. The idea of doing this to make them seem foolish anytime they do any mini challenge like that, I'm not here for it. It's rare that it is successful in being funny. Excuse me. And I would much rather something like, a reading challenge, a good reading challenge, or what we saw last season with the trivia. How well do you know, can you beat a pit crew member?
Yeah.
I would rather see things like that. We probably will have a puppet show at some point.
We haven't had a puppet show in a while. Maybe we will, but we haven't had one in a while.
Okay. Either way, something like that versus anytime they say you have 15 minutes to get into quick drag, it's not even, with the exception of maybe one or two of them, they just kind of smeared shit on their face. Like there wasn't anything even remotely drag about it.
They went into clown mode. It was weird. They went like
Willow even had the little red nose and but I thought that she sort of created a character, a drag character, versus all the other ones just kind of slap shit on. So I really am not a fan of these mini challenges like this.
Yeah. And also the girls rarely do anything original. It's always just them being like, I can like a fourth grader would act, make a funny pose, it's just whatever.
But we've seen that Ru likes that sort of stuff.
True. The one thing I will say is at one point, RuPaul does an impression of Pee Wee Herman. Can you do an impression of Pee Wee Herman at all? I don't want it to be good. There's a reason I'm bringing it up. Okay, perfect, right? And I would be like, that's
I'm trying to use the phone.
Yeah. I don't make monkeys. I just train them, right? So,
now I want to watch that movie.
Yeah. Her Pee Wee impression was like no Pee Wee Herman impression I've ever heard in my entire life. She was like, why don't you take a picture to last longer? I'm like, that's like a person if you kind of described what Pee Wee, she's never seen Pee Wee Herman. They just said, do a funny voice and say this. It wasn't even an attempt at doing a Pee Wee Herman impression. It was very, very, very
it was
strange.
horrible.
That was the only thing I had to say about the mini challenge. All right. In the workroom, the teams get to work on their panels. Deja's team chooses her to be the moderator, while Jasmine wants to moderate, but her teammates give the role to Bosco. Next, RuPaul entered the workroom for some table visits. Deja talks about her mother's mental illness and her father's absence. On Team Bosco, Ru digs into Daya and Jasmine's relationship, and Georges opens up about her femininity as a child and the resulting derision from her father and grandfather. Now, this is the meat and potatoes of the episode. This is the part where I had trouble paying attention or staying awake, but I have watched it 3 times. Any big thoughts on the workroom, Taylor? Anything you want to talk about?
I thought that Willow's team had really good chemistry from the get-go, that they all seemed to work really cohesively. And I would have been surprised if that all fell apart. When Jasmine said she wanted to be moderator, I went, oh God, like, oh no, that's not good. You can't have a moderator that does all of the talking. And I think that was their fear. But it also seems like the other 3 girls all kind of, it never got to the, well, what you want to do isn't necessarily what you're going to do. They definitely kind of said, we feel more comfortable with Bosco doing it. And I appreciated that Jasmine didn't get butthurt. That Jasmine was very much of the, okay, whatever works. I will say this with Jasmine, she is trying to take notes, I think, or trying to read the notes that she's getting. She's just not always necessarily successful at it. Bosco or Ru at the table, as I said, Ru had a massive boner through this entire thing and was definitely trying so hard to get somebody to cry, which is just gross. I and even to the, or just trying to stir up drama, which I get that's part of what Ru is supposed to do when she's in there, is to make you kind of second guess things. But this just seemed like tiers equal ratings to me. So you all are not giving me what I need. So I'm going to say things to try to get you to cry or to create drama. Because the comment that she made to Daya and Jasmine, where she was talking about, well, how are the two of you getting along? There's no reason Rue, in theory, should know any of the drama between the two of them. Mm-hmm. Because that never seems to happen on the runway. Mm-hmm. That never happens during but for her to ask that, it just felt very much of the, we got to get somebody fighting this season.
Yeah. But for the very reason that you're talking about is why I'm a little bit more forgiving to RuPaul, in that, like, I'm wondering if the producers are like, we have to use brute force now. We've tried everything we can to get these girls to get something going because the season is so boring. We need to just basically bring in RuPaul to try, and even then it didn't crack. These girls are pushing. They're essentially all Cameron Michaels. Where Cameron Michaels was like, I know what you're trying to do, and I'm not going to play that game. And I feel like they're all pretty much doing that. They are cock blocking the producers. They know what the producers are trying to do, and they get along, and they're trying to do that. And I think they had to send RuPaul to do some brute force. I feel sorry for her. I had to do shows with this Lori Roggenkamp, and the amount of work that I have to do to make her interesting is like, you would feel sorry for me, you know. So I actually, in a weird kind of way, feel pity for RuPaul. Let's talk about Willow Pill, and she was choosing the teams. But actually, let me go backwards. Let me comment on what you said about Jasmine and wanting to be the moderator. I saw someone online say that they thought it was a mistake, that they should have made Jasmine the moderator, because in a weird kind of way it would force her to shut up. Whereas if she's on the panel, it gives her license to talk and talk and talk and talk and talk. I don't know. I don't know if that would have been the case. I'm just saying that's what someone online said. And we all know people online are very trustworthy. No,
but that also is either that's either potentially sending her home or giving her the win. Mm-hmm. Because if she did overtalk the panelists, then that would have guaranteed she was in the bottom and potentially have sent her home. Mm-hmm. But if she learned from the notes and allowed herself to be a really good moderator and shut up every once in a while, then there's the potential that she could have had Bosco's win this week. So I think that they were taking a chance at this point. They would have been taking a significant risk if they let her be the moderator, whereas Bosco seems to be somebody that they all get. They get who she is.
All right. Willow Pill, the way she chose her team. Any big thoughts on that? I thought it was very interesting. I want to hear your take on it.
I liked that she started with, I've never worked with Deja before, so I want to work with Deja. Mm-hmm. I thought was an interesting first choice. And also saying, I know that, you know, in the confessional where she goes, I know 4 of these girls are going to be mad that I didn't pick them, but there's nothing I could do about it. But the other 2 girls on her team, I thought she picked really strong girls to be on the team with.
But what's interesting, I don't think I would have said at the time that those were 4 really strong girls to be on the team with. But that was interesting.
I think you're dealing with 4 very strong personalities, but I did write on here that the opposing team initially, when they said, when Daya called them team leftovers, I'm like, that actually, with the exception of Georges, is a really strong team, because Bosco's quick and Jasmine's a talker. So, you know, there's never going to be those pregnant pauses of where nobody knows what to say.
Yeah.
You know,
Georges at one point goes, what's a moderator? I'm like, oh, you're such a gorgeous idiot. You're such a beautiful idiot. You know? We covered the moderator. I want to talk about the table business as well. One of the teams, I don't remember who, RuPaul's giving them advice on how to be on the panel. And I, based on what we're going to talk about later, I was like, this is really good advice. Both teams should be listening. Which is, don't try and script it, just talk. Be natural. And I'm going to say both teams mildly failed, but one failed far less than the other, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, I get that. I think that you really saw that with Georges. I wrote a note that said she's playing a character right now, which is the worst thing you could do.
I don't think Georges knows how to be herself. There are people who are like that, Tom Cruise. Lou Grant. They made a reference to Lou Grant, and RuPaul is like, don't worry about it. Do you want to explain to the children, because it never gets explained, who Lou Grant is, what RuPaul was talking about?
Lou Grant was a character played by Ed Asner on the Mary Tyler Moore Show. He was the head of the newsroom, and he was very cantankerous, and was just a very funny kind of foil to Mary's very chipper sunshine, where he was very gruff and grumpy. And then after the Mary Tyler Moore Show went off the air, they took his character, and he had a hour-long drama that he was the main character. They took his character and made him where he was the head of a show called Lou Grant that ran for a couple of years, where I think he ran a newspaper.
Yeah, I think so.
I feel like he moved from Minneapolis to, I want to say, like San Francisco. And it was much more topical for the time, and it was much more, and he had a bunch of reporters that worked under him.
Yeah. That's exactly it. All right, Taylor, here's what we're going to do. We're not done, but this is where I want to talk about Diabetes. But I actually, we say, oh, we need to take a break, and we do need to take a break, but I actually have to pee like, oh my God, I have to pee. So Why don't we take a break, an actual legitimate break, and when we come back, and by the way, during that break, I'm going to have a lot of things I say to you guys at home about some of my favorite things. But when we come back, we'll discuss Diabetes and the rest of the episode. We'll be back right after this.
Okay.
This is Amy Poehler. My new movie, Disney and Pixar's Inside Out 2, is coming to theaters June 14th, and it's making me feel joy and sadness and anger, definitely some disgust, and I think a little fear. But I'm also feeling these new emotions like anxiety, embarrassment, envy, and ennui.
It's what you call the boredom.
Okay, that one was weird. It's going to be the feel everything movie of the summer. Disney and Pixar's Inside Out 2. Rated PG. Parental guidance suggested. Only in theaters June 14th. Get tickets now.
Say goodbye to your credit card rewards. Greedy corporate mega stores, led by Walmart and Target, are pushing for a law in Congress to take away your hard-earned cash back and travel points to line their pockets. The Durbin-Marshall credit card bill would enact harmful credit card routing mandates that would end credit card rewards as we know it. If you love your credit card rewards, tell your lawmakers, hands off my rewards. Tell them to oppose the Durbin-Marshall credit card bill.
Yeah! All right, everybody. Yeah, man, now that my bladder's drained, I am in a good mood. Let us talk about Diabetes. Let's have this conversation now. Diabetes and the way she's being portrayed and why I struggle. This is a really good example. One of the aspects of our show that I really love is I'm going to say something that's going to make me sound like a total fucking asshole, right? I don't care because I'm making a point. I'm making a larger point.
Okay.
I have met and been around a lot of celebrities. And the reason I bring that up is for that reason, I'm rarely starstruck. I'm starstruck by bizarre celebrities. Did I tell you the last time I was starstruck was I was at the Magic Castle and Nathan Fielder was there, and I got all nervous. And he's the guy from Nathan For You, like a Comedy Central show that no one watches, or maybe they do. Anyway, that's who I get starstruck by. But I don't have, where I feel a lot of drag shows have this boner to be around drag queens, interview drag queens, talk to drag queens, be friends with the drag queens, be liked by the drag. I don't have any of that. I couldn't give two shits. To me, and I say this with love and affection, but a drag queen to me is like a level above being like a clown or magician. And so, not that there's any disrespect with any of those professions, but what I'm just saying is I see them in a tier of working class entertainment professionals, not like, in the stars with the heavens, in the heavens with the star. I don't know what it is. Right. So for that reason, I don't want to interview them. I mean, I'll interview them if I have to, but I'm not a big proponent of that, for the reason being when you get to know them as human beings, it makes it harder to criticize.
Okay.
I think that's actually one of the reasons why Kathy Griffin lost her edge, so to speak, is, when she started out, she was on the quote unquote, the D list, started doing these specials, got really popular, and then became friends with them and found it hard to talk about them because she didn't want to lose that, the cachet of being friends with these celebrities.
Right.
And so, it's the same thing here. Like, there's no one I've interviewed more than Eureka O'Hara. And Eureka O'Hara is a lovely, no matter what she does in the show, every time I've interviewed her, she's been a fucking joy to interview. Is a very, very nice person. And that makes it difficult to critique her in any sort of serious way.
I would agree with that, as having been I believe, is the only queen that I've ever actually interviewed with you. Mm-hmm. And when she was on All Stars and that sort of thing, it was a lot. I saw her in a different light than I saw all the other girls. I absolutely agree with you on that.
Yeah. So, and so I'm in a little bit of a tough spot with Diabetti. I've never met Diabetti, but we know somebody very intimately that, and I don't want to give this person away. I don't know what they've said, what they've shared, what they haven't, who is very good friends with Diabetti.
Yes.
To this day, very good friends with Diabetti.
Yeah.
And I'm sure she disagrees with most of the things that I say, or I don't know what her position is, but just in private conversation. And she's very defensive of her friend,
Understandably.
I deal with that I have a couple of friends who make movies. And when people insult their movies, it hurts me a little bit. 'Cause I love my friend and I know how hard they worked on them. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And so I get that. I get that protecting your friend, circling the wagon, so to speak, right?
Yeah.
But it makes me, as that person's friend, reluctant. Like I said, I call balls and strikes, so I'm still going to do it. But it makes me sad that it might, I don't know if this person's never commented, but if it might cost a friendship with this person because they feel I'm going in too hard. And because especially since I realize what is happening here. There's so little that they're pulling clips that would make this person look bad when there's probably just as many clips for every other queen, if that makes sense.
Yes.
So I see that there is some sort of hit job on Diabetti on the part of the editors to make somebody the villain, and they're seeing her as that person. But I still have to wonder if she ultimately did say those things. What does that say about her? Let's get your thoughts first, Taylor. I talked a lot.
Well, I think I agree with what you're saying. I had another example came to mind, and I can't think of it. Like it went in one ear and out the other. Mm-hmm. Ultimately, we are being given a package.
Yeah.
And that package is a human being who, and I have often thought this as far as when the girls watch the episodes, mm-hmm. how often they watch themselves something about somebody in confessional mm-hmm. and think to themselves, I didn't say that about that person.
Yeah.
Like, why would they have used that shot? That sort of thing. So we don't really know what's going on with Diabetti. And I think that they are doing everything they can to make her not even the villain, mm-hmm. but that may be a testament to how little she's giving them by that way. So they're just grabbing the scraps that would have been on the cutting room floor to make her where she is this, power hungry, like, I will do anything. I will stomp on anybody I need to get the show. I feel like we've seen that in other characters in earlier seasons, and it has been much more apparent who they are, because it sort of is that it's to kind of use another example from the last season of Dragula. You and I had private conversations about this in La Zavoletta. Mm-hmm. There were times that I hated her, and then there were other times that I was like, oh, okay, that was just a bad moment. And then later on, she would show me another moment, but you didn't really know what to do with her for the most part, her mm-hmm. entire season. And I feel like we're seeing something kind of similar to Diabetti, because even though she was being, over the last several weeks, she's been challenging, I'm not done rooting for her yet. Like, there's still parts of me that I'm like, okay, this is a manipulation thing. This isn't necessarily that she's not an asshole. She occasionally says asshole things.
Well, what's funny is I actually even think that the things she says aren't that crazy, but she has the equivalent of confessional bitch face. So that the way she says them in a way, even though they're not terribly controversial, she says them in a way that makes her seem bitchy. It's almost like a version of gay face. I know she's one of those gays, and I wish this was a visual medium so I could show you, where they do that thing where they like flatten their lips after they say something like like, so I'm going to do it visually. It'll make sense for no one at home but Taylor will see what I'm talking about.
Yeah. Where
she goes, well, if you asked me, Angeria had the worst outfit.
Yeah.
You know? And I don't know how you would describe that look.
It's an aggressive, pursed lip, aggressive, patronizing pursed lip.
Yeah, and gays do that. It's just sort of a gay punctuation mark. It just is. Mm-hmm. Not all gays do it, but I've really only seen gays and old librarian ladies. Not I'm a librarian, the Discord user. Just, an old librarian lady doing that look. Like, didn't you know? Like, the best visual representation is kind of like Church Lady, the Dana Carvey character.
Yes.
She used to make that face, kind of. And Diabetti can do that, which gives the editors the little scraps that they need to make her into the villain, even though she's not really saying anything super crazy. And I'm sure there's tons of footage of Deja. They did it to Deja in the beginning. Remember where Deja, they haven't done this to Deja since, but episode 2, when she won and RuPaul said that Deja, looks like we have a lip sync assassin here. And the next day Deja was like, RuPaul said, I'm the lip sync assassin. And she does that thing too. She goes,
yeah,
And so I'm sure there's a ton of footage of all these people looking like assholes, right? In the confessional. But they're using it and manipulating it so that they're painting Diabetti the way they want to paint her. The thing is, I don't get what I don't have a sense of what she's really like.
I would agree with that. Yeah. And I think that's why we've seen other girls that have just been so ugly to the other contestants through the entire season that you can't help but go, I don't want them to win. I want them to go home. And we haven't seen that as much. So it is a weird edit that they're giving Diabetti.
Yes, because you're right. Anytime there is a person that's been a real cunt, then they're sort of isolated in the workroom. But that's not the sense with Diabetti. With Diabetti, they see her as a sister just as much as they see anybody else as a sister. She's just
I think a good example of what we're talking about would be Tyra Sanchez.
Yes. She's a complete bitch.
Yeah.
And but they welcome her into the fold. There's no isolation. She's there and she's kicking even with Jasmine. They seem to be more like frenemies.
Yeah.
And because I think they're very similar, to be honest with you. I think
we don't like in others what we see in ourselves.
Yes, and they're both very type A gays, you know. But I think it's one of these things where I know you find Diabetti attractive, a lot of people do. What I'm saying, I don't mean in terms of level of attractiveness, just more in terms of femininity. Jasmine's just prettier. And so she's getting the hero edit more. No, she's not even getting a hero edit. They're both getting pretty shitty edits.
Well, but you know what? There is something to that in that I don't know.
It is a tough one because now we're talking about editing and how people are portrayed and whatnot and how that can be easily manipulated by the editors. And what makes it tough for me is, what do I talk about? I don't know the real Diabetti, so I can't present that side. But so at a certain point, I have to buy into the illusion that the show has created. Makes it tough to talk about, Taylor. Makes it tough to talk about.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's move on. It's Elimination Day and the girls get ready for the main stage. The queens reflect on their journeys roughly halfway through the race. Lady Camden resembles her mother when in drag, and Angeria respects Willow's quiet confidence. Any big thoughts on this Elimination Day, Taylor?
The only note that I had was somebody, I don't remember who, but talked about the idea of creating something and dropping it if it's not working. So I guess my question to you would be, you have created this network of shows, and have you ever had an experience in which you thought, oh, that's a great idea, and the more that you fleshed it out, you said to yourself, oh, I'm not even going to record a pilot or anything, because the more I think about it, the more that's not an option. It just would not work.
I have two examples, actually. One is this week I recorded an episode of This Joe Betance, and I think it was actually a very good episode. In the episode, for reasons that I'm not going to get into, because then I would just publish the episode, I explained comedy, my comedy strategies and techniques and thoughts, and in relation to this one thing that happened, and talked about it. And then afterwards I recorded it, and I was like, I don't think I'm going to release that. Not that it was particularly inflammatory, it was fine, but I was like, I don't know if I necessarily want that out there, So I decided not to do it. That's one example. Number two, going what you're saying, is, as you know, I'm developing this podcast with Spotify. Yeah. And it's a very long process, months and months and months and months and months. And when it first started, I was going to make a very serious sort of NPR, Radio Lab, This American Life type show. And I've prepped, and there's all this work you have to do. I have to go back and do more work now because of this. But like when I had to do quote unquote the midterm, I realized that's not the show that I have. And that's not the show that I want to do. The show I want to do is quirkier, funnier. And it's the same concept, but just taken with a different. So I have to go, not start from scratch, but I have to now go and I don't know what you would say, edit things to make it that way. And so
mold it into what you want it to be.
Yeah. What happens, we have to make these like pitch decks. I have to go and change the pitch deck and then work on the show from that sort of quirky approach rather than the original intent. So yes, that is something that I've done. And I think that's an important part of the creative process. Have you ever seen this video? Maybe there's several videos of Picasso, because Picasso, people don't realize this, lived to relatively recently. I think he died like 50 years ago. Okay. And so he was alive during cameras and stuff like that. And so there's one where they backlight him making a painting. And so the camera's behind the canvas and you're seeing him paint, and it'll start with like a line. It's like a fish, and the fish turns into a tree, and and then by the end, the final product is nothing with what he started with. And I think that is part of the creative process. So I'm very curious to why you asked this.
No, I just thought it was a good talking point. I know that I occasionally like to draw on an app called Procreate on my iPad. Yeah. And I like learning new techniques. I watch a ton of YouTube videos and ways that you can add shading to things, and way that you can make things focus and not focus and all that sort of stuff. And you can also, where it collects a video of what you drew, like a time lapse thing of where, even though it could take you hours to do something, it boils it all down to like 45 seconds or something. And it's amazing how much, especially the first several seconds of something, will be where I was drawing something and then erased it, and then drawing something and then erased it. And then where you just kind of, the first 5 seconds are almost have nothing to do with the final product. Yeah. But you can still see where I started to do something, went, nah, this isn't going to work, and then just absolutely delete it.
Well, let's take your show, Pod is My Co-Pilot, available at wherever you get your podcasts. Has the show evolved from episode 1 to episode 550 something?
607?
Oh, 607? No, not your weight, Taylor. I'm talking about the show.
Bitch. I think it has in some ways, as people have come in and out of our lives. And for a while there, we were very bathroom humor. And we sort of moved away from that as we all got older, and we all got a little more serious in our lives. And I can't help but change a little bit. We've tried doing things of where my one co-host, we tried to do a pop culture segment for him. We tried to do something with my other co-host of where, when she would see, white woman injustices in the world, she would do that. We've tried doing a bunch of different things, and sometimes things just don't work. Or I don't feel like adding in the music before they do their segment, and that it just kind of fades away.
Well, even this show has evolved. Go back and listen to the original season 7, and you'll see this show I'm the only host still here, right?
Yeah.
But it's evolved and it changes. Even the tone changes, and what we talk about changes. Everything changes. Well, even you've evolved on me when you first heard me when I was still doing podcasts. We have a show called Bring It to the Runway, and Christian Ochoa is one of the hosts of that show, and he's what we in the business call extra. And I think that has rubbed some people the wrong way. And what I've told them is, and maybe you would agree, I don't know if you've heard that much of Christian, he reminds me a lot of myself when I first started doing Catching Up. And I was doing this crazy extra persona that I learned through experience to dial back.
Yeah. I think that's something that the girls learned a lesson that the girls on on all of these seasons learn that you learned early on is that character, that show Betance, you can't keep up that level of extra all the time.
Yeah.
At some point, the real Joe came through.
Yeah.
And at some point, possibly the real Christian will come through.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we've talked about girls bringing it kind of back to Drag Race, girls that kind of self-produce. That's eventually they fall apart, and that's when they kind of fall into the hands of the producers that go, oh, we're going to do whatever we want with you now, versus girls that are just kind of that authentic, and I think we've seen that, for an example, I think we've seen that with Willow Pill. Willow Pill just seems like a very authentic person from episode 1 all the way through to now, and I think that's part of the reason why people like her as much as they do.
Yes. She's inviting you in. You feel that, like, if you contrast Willow Pill with Jasmine Kennedy even still feels very, not as much, but still feels very, like, guarded and manipulative. Not manipulative in the way you think, but, like, she's manipulating her own storyline and she's trying to self-produce. Whereas Willow Pill is just like, hi, I'm Willow Pill,
Yeah.
And so...
is that a pageant girl thing, do you think?
It could be, because if you think about it, that whole thing is about hiding and presenting a certain version of yourself.
Yeah.
See, I only understand, and I'm not saying this is a compliment or not, it's a different version of thing. I only understand how to be my authentic self to a fault. I
know that.
Yeah. No, it is. It gets me in trouble with my boyfriend all the time, because I'm the person my boyfriend does not have a big ass, but if he did, and he said, does my ass look big in these jeans? I'd be like, yes. Like, I have no poker face. And that gets me in trouble because I think I say things that sometimes hurt his feelings. But I can't be anything but honest and authentic. Maybe sometimes I wish I could be a little less. Thank you.
All right.
Now it's time for the DragCon panels. Taylor, before we get into our own DragCon panels, any big thoughts you had on these DragCon panels?
My first thought was I loved Rue's wig. That, like, super platinum, almost like good. Silver white that was an awesome color for her. I thought the first group did really, really great. I thought Deja was a great moderator, and I liked that they were able to kind of do callbacks to things that were said earlier in the session, like especially even with the Blake Lively, Blake Shelton thing.
Yeah.
And there was one thing that I liked that I talked about in the very beginning of this episode was that there was a controlled show of emotion. They weren't robots sitting up there.
Yeah.
But they were definitely where they were able to kind of, it wasn't where at some point somebody's voice breaks and quivers and somebody has to put their hand on, the other one's knee or anything like that. So it was enjoyable in the conversation.
Yeah, I thought for the most part, the second group was Bosco, right? They seemed a little more self-produced.
Yes.
But Team Willow seemed much more flowing and natural. Even though Willow had her pre-written jokes, it came from an authentic place. I think Deja seemed very authentic. For the most part, they seemed much more authentic and like they were having a real conversation than the other ones.
I don't get why they kept showing Nicole Byer with such a bitch face for the second group. It was weird because I'm thinking they're not that bad.
Well, they
wanted you to think that it was, and I guess maybe Rue wasn't giving the usual where when you show Rue with the scowl, then you're like, oh shit.
Yeah.
But I thought for all of them to do that, for anybody, for them to do that to the guest judge was an odd choice.
Yeah, I think they were really, really trying to show you, oh, they didn't do good,
Yeah.
Also, I love too with these DragCon, and then we have. Did they do a Vegas one this year too? This season, but it's like it always seems like RuPaul's auditioning people for her other things. Like there's all her side projects come in, like the candy bar and the I'm trying to think of who else, but like the Vegas show and now the DragCon. It's a whole thing. Mm-hmm. By the way, the DragCon panels for DragCon LA seem incredible this year.
Really?
Oh, they're really good. Yeah, really, really, really good. So far, at least the ones that they've posted so far. All right, Taylor. Well, let's see here. It's time for our own DragCon panel. My name's Joe Betance, and I'm the host of a show called RuPaul's Drag Race Recap. And every week I have the pleasure and honor and distinct pleasure, I don't know if I'm saying the same thing, twice, of co-hosting with a guy that I've known for many years, Mr. Taylor the Latte Boy. Hello, Taylor.
Hey, everybody. How are you doing?
Well, today, Taylor, the topic is Menzes.
Menzes.
Yeah. Do you happen to know any men?
I do. I know a couple.
Now, let me ask you this. I know you're married to the wonderful Babalu, you know, but what do you look for in a man?
I think sense of humor is probably the first thing when I'm getting to talk to somebody. If we're talking about physical, I definitely have physical traits that I'm all about.
Oh yeah, like what?
I like them thick, so I like a little bit of a stock to a guy. I love my favorite body part is probably arms. You have nice muscular arms. I'm all about that. And blue eyes, even though my husband doesn't have blue eyes, but that's kind of what I go for. What about you? What do you look for?
First I check their ID. No, you know what's really funny is, yes, there's this whole twink thing. But one of the things that I actually, and I wish I didn't, I really did. I wish I had that thing where I was just not, right? But what I will say, where I'm at least somewhat lucky, consolation prize, is that once I imprint on you, right, or I lock onto you, my attraction to you does age with you. I'm not Michael Jackson or Menudo, where like once you hit a certain age, you're out. You know, like
Menudo.
Yeah. Well, didn't you have to leave the band Menudo when you hit a certain age?
Yeah, I think when you were 16.
Yeah. So, and for everyone, there was a Mexican pop band. Was it Mexican? This Latinx pop band.
Latin, because Ricky Martin was part of it.
Puerto Rican, yeah. This Latinx pop group called Menudo, and it was just Latino twinks, you know, and then when you hit a certain age, you aged out, you had to get out. Yeah. Anyway, but no, there are people who were twinks when I first was attracted to them, you know, years and years ago, and now they're older, and I still find them super hot and super attractive. You know, so
Ricky Martin is one.
Yeah, Ricky Martin is one. My attraction ages with you, you know, so that's a good thing. But anyway, when I look for a guy, I think I look for conversation. I think is very important to me. Like looks, you know. Beauty fades, dumb is forever, kind of thing. But I will admit, I am a weak, horrible man who does fall for. You're going to get my attention if you're cute. My next question for you, Taylor, is who is your celebrity crush?
Henry Cavill.
Oh, interesting.
Henry Cavill and Tom Colicchio.
Tom Colicchio and Henry Cavill. Tom Colicchio from Top Chef.
Yes.
But who would you rather, Tom Colicchio or Henry Cavill?
I think Henry Cavill.
Oh,
I have a feeling Henry Cavill would definitely be one that I feel like would just destroy me. So if I had to choose between one of the two, that is definitely one that I think would be. I think that I have to go with Superman all the way.
As you know, one of mine, and I can't explain it, is Adam Driver, right? Adam Driver can do whatever he wants to me. And it's one of these things that if you showed me each of Adam Driver's body parts, I'd be like, ew, right? But all together, they make this weird, quirky package that I am just all about. You know?
Well, we were talking about Picasso earlier.
Yeah, so. True, actually. Very, very true. I don't know what it is. Another one would be, you know what's funny is I can talk about people that I'm not attracted to. People always think I'm going to be into this Tom Holland or this... Timothy Chalamet, I don't know why that neither one of them does it for me.
Tom Holland is cute. Timothy Chalamet looks too much like a Precious Moments doll as a twink.
He doesn't do it for me. You know what's funny? In my celebrities, I don't like him necessarily twinky. Like, in other words, I think Zac Efron is way hotter now than he was when he was.
Oh, yeah.
You know?
Yes.
There was another celebrity recently that I was like, oh. You know who just has stayed hot and also gotten hotter?
Who?
Even though his career's cold as ice? Ryan Phillippe? Oh.
Okay. He definitely has the weathered twink look down.
Love. So like Ryan Phillippe, what's just funny is in my celebrities, I like them actually closer to my age.
Okay.
It's just, I don't know. Yeah. And then finally, and this is going to be a heavy one. What's your relationship with your father?
Well, my father's dead, so
yes, I know.
My father and I, by the end of my father's life, he and I actually, really got along, and he was very supportive of me, and he loved Babalu, who I wasn't married to yet. And as I have been learning over the last several weeks, that part of my challenges going through life have been that my father's expectations from when I was a small child have always kind of stayed with me, even though they weren't necessarily realistic. So I have been working to create my own expectations for myself and realize that my dad was proud of me, even though I didn't necessarily do the things that he maybe would have liked for me to do. I still do the things that I do well. And ultimately, that's got to be good enough for me. And if it's good enough for me, then hopefully it would have been good enough for him.
That's great.
How about you?
Oh my gosh, we're out of time today, Taylor. But thank you very much for being here for the DragCon panel, and we'll see you guys next time at AfterCon. This is the AfterCon panel.
AfterCon. Well, thank you. Thank you for having me. It's been a delight.
Yeah, we'll see you guys next time. All right, now it's time for the looks. Taylor, any big thoughts on the looks? The category this week was, by the way, shoulder pad, which must have really excited you when you first heard the category.
Yes, because I love an.
Oh, wait, Taylor, I'm so sorry. Oh, God, I'm so sorry. I have to go to the bathroom again. Can you hold on for 1 second?
Welcome to the main stage of RuPaul's Drag Race. My boyfriend's back, and it's style superstar Carson Kressley.
Hey everyone, I'm back! Hiya! Howdy ho, everybody. Taylor Latte Boy, it's been a long time since I've seen you.
How wonderful to see you, Carson. How are you?
I'm good. I got a dick in my ass, a dick in my mouth, a dick in my nose, and a dick in my ear. What could be better? By the way, can we please, speaking of dicks, can we talk about this Todrick Hall over on Celebrity Big Brother?
Yeah, let's talk about that.
What a fucking cunt. I swear to God, everything Joe said was right. I should have believed him when I went into that. Did you know about what happened with us?
I've heard a little bit about it, yeah.
Yeah, he stabbed me in the back that I don't like with knives rather than big cocks, Taylor. That's what I like the best. I like it when they stab me with big cocks. Anyway, Taylor, have you been getting some?
Oh, yeah, all the time.
Do you ever have Babalu's balls slap up against your ass? And what does it sound like? Oh. Ow. And do the dogs ever want to go at O-U-T while he's I-N-Y-O-U?
No, we keep the door shut. It's the only door that's shut in that bedroom at the time.
Oh.
That's time for daddies to play with their bones.
You know, Taylor.
Yeah.
We had some looks this week. Did you have any big... Joe went to the bathroom. He's still there. He had to go O-U-T. Do you have any big thoughts on the looks this week?
I had 3 looks that I really liked.
Oh, what were they?
My favorite looks of the week were Lady Camden's, Angeria, because I love a houndstooth, Houndstooth is my favorite pattern.
Yeah.
And I liked Bosco's look too. Very Jubilee from X-Men.
I'm more of a fan of triple X-Men, if you know what I mean.
I feel like I've seen that movie before. I believe on men.com.
Oh, I love this men.com. Do you like this Johnny Rapid? Would he be one of your celebrity crushes?
No, he would not, because he looks like he has an IQ of about 8.
8 inches, and they want them all inside of me. Oh my God. Taylor, do you know, there's nothing more than I just love semen running all over my body. I can't say these kinds of things on RuPaul's Drag Race, but here I can talk about it.
Say whatever you want, baby.
I have a semen candle.
Do you?
Uh-huh. That's all there is. There's no joke. I'm just telling you.
Okay.
I like my whole house. Let me tell you this. I met this guy, and we had sex all weekend.
Uh-huh.
And then he had to go to work. Okay? And he said, I have to go to work. Do not masturbate. I mean, don't masturbate on anything. Just wait till I come home. He comes home. The place is covered in cum. Okay? And then he says to me, I thought I told you not to do anything till I came back. And he goes, I didn't. I farted. Anyway. Anyway, any other thoughts on the look? Any least favorite looks?
My least favorite look was, I thought Jasmine's was boring, and I thought Daya Betty's look was just sort of okay. It was very boxy, like or columnal, like Carson said, like you said at the end of the deliberations.
Which is funny. What I meant to say was cum anal.
There you go.
Which is what my license plate says.
Does it?
Oh, yeah. I'm getting pulled over all the time, but I'm not going to tell you how I get out of a ticket. Like the corner of my mouth.
I think we all know.
We all know. I sucked a cop's cock. Anyway. Did you hear, by the way, I was saying in the news that when I was younger, I had sex with a guy who was a serial, robber of gay people, and he did something with gay people, and I had sex with him. I don't know why I talked about this.
Okay.
That's not a joke. This is real. I really did do an interview where I said there was a guy going around and, beating up gay men, maybe? Having sex with them and beating them up or robbing them. I don't remember what it was.
You usually have to pay extra for that.
Oh, yes, they do. Want my wallet, sir? You know, what's so funny is I made a wallet once out of foreskin, and when you rubbed it, it turned into a box. Hi, everyone. My name's Carson Kressley. And I was the host of a TV show 20 years ago. Anyway, any other thoughts on the looks, Taylor?
No.
All right. Well, I have sounds for me from the other day. You want to hear them?
Sure.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, fuck me harder. Oh.
Oh, that was me.
Oh.
Right after I got out of the house of Big Brother.
But I thought you were a top.
Think again. I'm really bad at this.
Yeah, I can
tell.
You know
why? when you have cum on the brain, you're not very quick on your feet, if you know what I mean. I don't know what I mean. Somebody tell me. I'm crazy. I'm Carson Kressley. Goodbye.
Bye.
Oh, sorry, Taylor. I had coffee, and when you have coffee, you know what that does to you.
Coffee and a sausage McMuffin. Jesus.
Oh, yeah.
We're lucky you lasted as long as you did.
Oh, it was not good. It was not pretty there. No. It was so explosive, Putin invaded the bathroom. That's how.
It's the second nuclear waste site.
Yeah,
that,
it's the second nuclear site that Putin invaded.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to get a lot of Discord messages now.
Okay.
The expensive tier is going to be blowing up again with some wrong thing I said.
Much like your toilet.
Yeah,
it's going to be blowing up again.
Yeah, my toilet and the expensive tier on Discord. All right. Taylor, okay. On the main stage, RuPaul names Bosco the winner of the challenge and places Georges and Jasmine Kennedy in the bottom two, forcing them to duke it out in a lip-sync battle for their lives. The song, Something's Got a Hold on Me by Etta James. In the end, Ru tells both girls, Shantae, you stay, leaving 8 girls in the competition remaining. Still 8 girls. Taylor, any final thoughts on the episode?
Well, as I said before, I thought that the lip sync was fun to watch.
Yeah.
When the song first started, especially when you have somebody like when you have Deja saying, America, this is what you've been waiting for kind of thing. I thought, oh, well, we're in for backflips and death drops and just craziness. And then when the song from the 60s started, I sort of went, you gotta be kidding. But it was fun. It was light. It was just enjoyable. They were definitely playing off each other at one point. So I enjoyed that and thought it was great that it was an definitely deserved double Shantae. I don't think either one of them did better or worse than the other. Yeah. And I also get that probably part of the reason they did that is because we got Snatch Game coming up next week. So they wanted to have the 8. The problem that I have with this, though, is I feel like you and I talked a couple of weeks ago I feel like we're burning through this season, whereas last season it felt like it was going to be from January 1st to like October. And now all of a sudden it feels like where she's almost like pumped the brakes of where I thought, oh my God, we're going to be done by like, at this point we'll be done by end of, or early April. And now I'm like, all right, now we're moving closer to May.
Yeah.
So I'm happy for the girls and I'm happy for me because I am enjoying this particular group of girls. But there's also one of these where you're like, okay, let's move it along.
Yeah. Yeah. Can we still have the gold chocolate bar that hasn't been found?
Yeah.
So we'll see. Wait. Taylor just gave me a look. What did that look mean? Oh, all right.
I guess we'll have to find out next week.
Oh, what are they going to find the chocolate bar next week? Are you?
I don't know that.
Can someone PM me privately to find out if I have to take that out of the show or not? Because, oh my God, we will get in so much trouble if that's a real spoiler. Any other final thoughts?
No, that's it. That's all.
The only thing I will say about the lip sync, when I was on a rewatch, to me, the lip sync was fine. It was fine. It was good. It was solid. I don't know if it's double Shantae, I probably would have sent George
I would have sent Jasmine home if I sent one.
Either
of the
way, you
home.
can make an argument for both of them. What I'm saying,
that's what I'm saying. It could have been one, or it wasn't definitely a both of you go home.
Yeah, but RuPaul was like,
gave energy.
But RuPaul was like, ladies, take note. That's what a lip sync for your life is all about. And I was like, is it? And the propaganda beforehand, they were like, this is the moment we've all been waiting for. Georges and Jasmine going. I'm like, we have. And it was just the propaganda of getting us excited for a thing that I never thought was a thing. They were like, oh, everybody's been waiting. Deja's like, everyone's been waiting for this moment. I'm like, when? Since when? They've not done a good job of building that up throughout the season at all. Like,
they tell you what they want you to think.
To me, season 4, Alyssa versus Coco, yes, we were waiting for that moment the whole season.
Season 5.
Oh, season 5. We've been waiting for that whole season, that moment, the whole season, Mama.
Or Sharon versus Fifi in season 4.
Sharon versus Fifi, we were waiting for that the whole season. We were waiting for Georges versus Jasmine. No, I don't buy it. Anyway, well, that's going to do it for this week's episode of RuPaul's Drag Race Recap. Be sure to join us next week and every week as we continue to discuss, dissect, and deconstruct each brand new episode of RuPaul's Drag Race Season 14. So, for Taylor the Latte Boy and myself,
sashay away until next week.
Thank you for listening to RuPaul's Drag Race Recap. Have something to say? Email us at dragracerecap@afterthought.media. You can also leave us a voicemail at speakpipe.com/afterthoughtmedia. For more Drag Race and LGBTQ content, support us on Patreon at patreon.com/afterthoughtmedia. Taylor has another podcast. It's called Pod is My Co-Pilot, and you can find it wherever you get your podcasts. You can follow Taylor the Latte Boy on Instagram and Twitter at PIMCTaylor. Follow Joe Betance on Instagram and Twitter at Joe Betance. This episode was produced by Luke Stamen and Zach Birch. Very special thanks to these expensive tier Patreon supporters. Agnesia Shopinska, April Pacheco, Astute Girl, Brad Coley, Coco San Pedro, Declan Prosser, Drew Brooks, E. Smith, Emma, Humble Pie, J. Thomas Plank, Jesse Harris, Lauren Eckert, Lionel Campbell, Lucy Carrasco, Luke Stamen, Nicholas Springham, Poppy Woods, Ricardo Herrera, Sarah Yu, Tom Bombs, Travis Newland, Troy Anderson, Zach Nelson, Corinna Williamson, Elizabeth Timmer, Nikki Baker, Robert NYC, David Olson, and Alexandra Sixt. Drag Race Recap is an Afterthought Media podcast.